I bought a DNA test and found out the truth. Today, I bought a 23andMe kit, assuming my family history was boring. I hope to learn more about my ancestry and possibly discover some interesting ethnicities. However, I ended up discovering something much more shocking. My dad passed away when my twin sister and I were 12 years old. He was a heavy drinker and smoker, and his health had been poor for decades. My mom and dad had tried for many years to have children before they finally had us in 1994. My dad had a son from a previous marriage who is about 30 years older than us, and two daughters from another prior marriage that I had never met. They live in California, and I only know their first names. They did not speak to my dad and didn't attend his funeral. As I've gotten older and had kids of my own, I became more curious about my dad's family. I asked my mom to no avail. She said she had no idea why the girls didn't speak to my dad or how to contact them. So I ordered a 23andMe kit to hopefully find my half-sisters and get some answers. 3 weeks later, I received the results. Unfortunately, I'm not of any shocking ethnicity. 61.2% British actually, along with 20.7% French, German, and other European makeup. However, what is surprising is that I found 4 half-sisters, 2 more than I thought. My dad was not a picture of moralism, so it doesn't surprise me he had some unclaimed kids running around. So, excitedly, I clicked to see the names. Oddly, none of the names match my half-sisters that I'm looking for. This means I have 6 half-sisters. Wow. Dad was kind of a whore, but this is still exciting. My twin and I immediately messaged them on the site. The first to reply we'll call Mary. She says she was born via IVF, in vitro fertilization, in 1992 in North Carolina. Mary also said the donor was a med student. Well, my mom is adamant that my dad didn't donate to sperm banks and that he didn't live in the state she's from. So, I'm thinking poor Mary doesn't know her mom is lying to her about an affair she had with my dad. I felt terrible for my mom as well, because this would definitely mean he cheated on her. Like I said, my dad was scummy. I just told Mary that our father was actually in construction his whole life, so he or the agency was lying about med school. He dropped out in 7th grade. I sent her some pictures of my dad and my twin and me from childhood. We laughed about how much we look alike and said we could even be triplets. Later that evening, I got another message from another half-sister we'll call Tiffany. Tiffany says she was also conceived via IVF in 1993 in Pennsylvania. All she knows is her dad has blonde hair and green eyes and was a med student. I'm honestly so happy to see another IVF, because this confirms my dad did use sperm banks and just didn't tell my mom, which was shitty but better than an affair. I sent Tiffany pictures of my dad and told her about him, and that's it. Then came last night. I was shopping at IKEA with my friends, relaying this soap opera story to them. I'm telling them my theory about these sperm banks lying to their customers to get better prices. Telling people they're getting a blonde-hair, green-eyed med student, when in reality, they're getting a brown-hair, brown-eyed sheetrock worker. It's at this moment my friend Miranda said, "You and your twin have blonde hair and green eyes. What if your dad isn't your dad and your mom also used IVF?" At first, I laughingly entertained the idea that it would make sense for my mom to need IVF, because that makes way more sense than suddenly becoming pregnant at 46 and 56. I quickly realized, holy shit, that actually does make sense. Then came the obvious thought to probably everyone but me: how could a 55-year-old alcoholic chain smoker pass for a med student? It would have been 25 years since he could believably look under 35, unless they somehow had his sperm in storage for 30 years before using it. And the sperm banks in different states used the same lie about med school. It didn't seem likely. I also have type 1 diabetes with no family history at all. Every doctor I've had tells me how unlucky I am, because it is usually in the family tree, and my chances of getting it were very low. I'm currently looking at my half-brother's pictures. He looks just like my dad, but nothing like my sister or me, not even close. My mom has had a migraine throwing up for the past 2 days since update. My mom admitted it. We are IVF babies. I texted my half-sisters this morning to let them know. This will be a great party story.